after Nimmo, it's getting kind of thin. But Howie Kendrick, I think, has been announced as the Nationals' primary DH. To me, it's insane he's going at pick 323. I know he's old, but batting average is a category, guys. And he batted 340 last year. And now that he's going to be playing every day, he's a must draft for me as a bench bat. Austin Riley is another newly discovered option for me, with Nick Markakis announcing that he's not playing. Austin Riley should be playing almost every day. And in a full season, he easily has 30 power potential. So I would definitely be looking for Austin Riley. And a lot of these guys I mentioned, I think, are pretty important. I think it's pretty important to go over this video. Look at these guys, write their names down, and next time you're in a draft, have these names in your mind when you get to pick, post-pick 150, post-200. Have these picks in your mind as guys that you can draft that you know will be playing every day. Most of these guys I said will be playing every day. Zach Britton, pick 341. You know, you have 9 pitcher slots to fill. 5 of them will be starters, and 4 of them will be relievers. 2 of those relievers probably won't be closers. You'll have 2 closers, and then you'll maybe have Ottavino Britton or Presley Britton, and I think that's fine. So draft Zach Britton. Wait and draft Zach Britton. This guy, I'm not sure how to feel about him. I'm sure more news will be coming out, especially for this guy, but Yoenis Cespedes at pick 349. I thought he was done. I thought he was never going to play again, but he's like out there on the field playing. I'm a little concerned with how the playing time is going to hurt with the Mets now. Yoenis Cespedes coming back does help the Mets without a doubt, but it might hurt fantasy players. It might hurt fantasy JD Davis. It might make JD Davis a less attractive draft. It might make Dom Smith irrelevant. You know, these guys might not be, you know, the playing time. The Mets got like 11 bats that they got to fit in. There's going to be a lot of guys. There's going to be a lot of rotating guys out of that lineup. There's going to be a lot of mid-game subs and stuff. So Cespedes is definitely a guy that you should be grabbing as a bench bat. I think Cespedes is the definition of who you fill your bench with. A guy who there's no way he should be going at pick 340 anymore, because if Cespedes is playing every day and he's healthy, he's a pick 80. He's an 80 pick. He's pick 80. He's pick 50 maybe if he's playing every day. Garrett Cooper at pick 350 is a more dependable option if you're a little scared with Cespedes, and if you need someone who, if you still have an offensive position open that you got to fill at pick 350, Garrett Cooper is your man. Garrett Cooper is your man. He's playing for the Marlins, and he will give you your pop and your RBIs and a decent batting average. He's just a great bat. He's a great overlooked bat, I think, because of the team he's on. This might be one of the last guys I talk about, but this is a guy who I actually have not mentioned, and I'm surprised by it, because he's a guy who I think we will be drafting in the top 150 next year, and if not next year, then the year after that, and that's Dylan Cease on the Chicago White Sox. Dylan Cease has the potential to be one of the best strikeout pitchers in all of baseball. Now, Cease has never pitched more than 80 innings in the minor leagues. But in 52 innings in AA in 2018, Cease had a 38% strikeout rate. And this year, in the MLB, he had a 24% strikeout rate. Cease's problem is his walk rate. A 24% strikeout rate, that's like where elite starting pitchers are at usually. I mean, 25, 30, that's where the best guys are at. So Cease's stuff is there. Cease is only 24 years old. I don't think it's crazy to see Cease being a top 15 pitcher, top 20 pitcher next year. All it's going to, I like Cease because I think it's a very clear case of all a guy has to do is one thing. All he has to do is stop walking so many guys. All Cease has to do is maybe, tweak his landing. Maybe all he needs to do is soften his landing on his pitching, maybe. That's it. He has one adjustment to do, and this guy's like freaking Noah Syndergaard. I mean, this guy's like throwing heat. He has one of the best fastballs in the game. So, and he has a rotation spot, Dylan Cease. I didn't even get to that. But I'm not talking about some guy who's like fighting for a spot. Dylan Cease is going to be in the rotation, without a doubt. Pick 411. Now we're getting deep here. We're getting deep, but once you get past pick 250, any of these guys can be drafted any round. Like, just because Jesse Winker is going at pick 411, someone could draft Jesse Winker at pick 250. That's how it works. Once you get past pick 200, any of these guys, they're all in the same pool in a way. Like, pick 200 between pick 400, it's not really rounds. Like, all these guys are kind of just, there's so much randomness involved that they could be picked anywhere. So I'm warning that because there's been times where I would wait, Luis Arias. I'm like, I can wait till pick 240 with Luis Arias. I've seen Luis Arias get drafted at pick 205, not by me, but by other guys in our drafts. Guys I don't know, guys I don't know who they are, just random people. They'll draft Luis Arias. These guys are known. There are no secrets anymore with the internet and with all of us talking about fantasy baseball. It's hard to find a real true sleeper. But Dylan Cease is kind of like one of those true sleepers because not a lot of people have faith in him. If you can find a guy that you have faith in and that it seems like the whole industry kind of turns a blind eye to, then you've found value. And it's easier than you think it is. And it really just comes down to playing a lot of fantasy baseball and seeing some guys improve and seeing what it takes for a guy to improve and how that profile changes. Jesse Winker is a great pick because the DH is now in the National League, and because Jesse Winker is similar to Brandon Nimmo in that he's shown elite on-base skills, but he's different in that he hit 16 home runs in half a season. So Jesse Winker's a 30 home run guy, and he has a pretty low strikeout rate. Jesse Winker is like a version of Willie Calhoun that walks more, with maybe a little less raw power. But he's going to be a 275 hitter, 280 hitter, and a full season. He's going to get you 25, 30 home runs. So I'm kind of excited about Jesse Winker. I think Jesse Winker could be like the heart of that Reds lineup. He could be the 2-3 of that Reds lineup, with Suarez being the 4, and or maybe Castellanos being the 4. But that Reds lineup, if Winker is hitting good, I mean that team could really run away with things. If that offense just goes off, if Bauer's pitching good, if Castillo's pitching good, if DeSclafani's pitching good, that team could be scary. And I think it's not even crazy to say that they might have the best offense in baseball. Nick Castellanos, Mike Moustakas, Jesse Winker, Nick Senzel, Joey Votto, Eugene Suarez. Eugene Suarez hit 49 home runs last year. Nick Castellanos, Eugene Suarez, Mike Moustakas. It's hard to find 3 guys on any teams that are really that good, as good as those guys. Those are 3 dynamic hitters that you can't really strike out easily. I mean, Eugene Suarez you can, but Moustakas, Castellanos aren't just laying over, and they have great power potential. I'm going to end this with 3 relief guys that I think you should keep your eye on, because I think 2 of them have a good chance of getting saves. I'm going to start with the one that I don't think has a chance of getting saves, and that's Colin McHugh. Colin McHugh has been a mainstay in Major League bullpens for the past 5 years. He's been a steady spot starter when teams need him. This guy is ready for a 60-game season. He can pitch when asked. He doesn't need to ramp up for anything. He's just a guy you ask to do a job, and he gets it done. So McHugh's on the Red Sox now. They need guys to pitch. I'm a little scared from that ballpark, but they need guys to pitch. He will throw innings for the Red Sox. These next 2 guys, I'm going to end the video with these guys, and I think I haven't seen too much talk about either of them when it comes to getting saves. The first one I know why, that's Steve Cishek. Steve Cishek on the Chicago Cubs. He's a guy I've known. I've had on Roto Leagues for maybe 2 years. Last year, I would drop him, add him all the time in infinite ad leagues, and the reason Cishek people probably don't think he's gonna get saved is because Craig Kimbrel's there. But if something happens with Craig Kimbrel, Cishek's right in there because Carl Edwards is out of there. They don't have a deep bullpen, so Cishek, you're not holding on him for too long. But if you draft him and then Kimbrel, or you start seeing that, maybe don't even draft Cishek. But the first sign of Kimbrel blows save one, you're picking up Cishek right away, because the Cubs cannot afford to miss the playoffs again. With Bryant, Rizzo, and all them, they're getting older. That core is going away. They will hurt Kimbrel's ego and take him out of the role. So just keep your eye on Steve Cishek in case Kimbrel doesn't have it this year. And this next guy, as a Mets fan, is on my radar, and that is Rafael Montero. I heard about him being with the Rangers, but I don't really remember. I heard he was going to play with them. I didn't see his stats for last season until this week, and I'm not mad that the Mets got rid of him. He's a reliever now. He was supposed to be like an 8 starting pitcher, but he had a 10.5 K per 9, so a pretty good K per 9, a 1.55 walk per 9. So those are great walk and strikeout numbers. That means he's relaxed. He's pitching good. He's not Dylan Ceasing it. A 2.48 ERA in 30 innings last year. And it is looking like Montero is in line to get saves. He's like the first guy off the bench to get saves for the Rangers. So keep those guys in mind, Cishek and Montero. And just some final notes, some final thoughts for this video, because I think what this video is trying to show is that you need to have guys in mind late in the draft that you can draft, and that I think it's very easy to go through the first half of the draft without too much prep, but the prep really matters when you get to the second half of the draft, and you don't really know. There's a lot more ambiguity and there's a lot more volatility once you get to that second part of the draft. So that's when it really does become important taking the safer guys like Adam Eaton and Alex Verdugo and Luis Urias, because the power potential is not as high. But that's why it's important to take guys like Schwarber and Castellanos, guys that, it's important to boost those home run numbers so that you can afford to take those bats later, as opposed to taking power potential bats later. You take some of those power potential bats like Franmil Reyes or Frenchie Cordero, post pick 200. There's a chance they're not even, maybe not Franmil Reyes, but Frenchie Cordero, there's a chance he's not even getting PT. With how they're loaded up with guys now. So it's very important to know what you're getting and who you're drafting, so that you know what you need to draft before. You know that you need to draft up on power if you're going to be getting Verdugo later, or that you don't need to draft a first baseman. Or maybe you've seen the guys that I showed you at first base today, and you said, "Oh, I need to grab a first baseman earlier," and then you do it like that. I hope you guys found this video helpful, and I hope you use it to structure your draft and hopefully come out with a better team and some more confident picks. Have a good one, guys.